It started 3 weeks before the party. My sister called on a Tuesday evening around 6:30 while I was making dinner. The kids were at the table doing homework, and David was still at the office finishing meetings. "So Emily's turning 8 next month," she said, her voice bright with excitement. "We're doing a big party at that new event venue downtown, the fancy one with the indoor playground and the catering. You know, the place that just opened near the shopping district." "That sounds amazing," I said, stirring the pasta sauce and checking the timer on the garlic bread. "The kids will love it. They've been asking when Emily's birthday was coming up." There was a pause on the line, a hesitation that lasted just a beat too long. "Actually, I wanted to talk to you about that." I turned down the heat on the stove, my full attention shifting to the phone. Something in her tone made my stomach tighten with unease. "We're keeping it small this year, just close family and Emily's school friends. You know how it is with venue. Capacity and catering minimums?" "Okay," I said slowly. "What does that mean exactly?" "It means you and David are obviously invited, but we're not really doing the cousin thing this year. Emily wants it to be more about her actual friends." I gripped the wooden spoon harder. "You're not inviting my kids to their cousin's birthday party." "Don't make it sound like that. It's just, Emily's at that age where she wants it to be cooler. Having a bunch of little kids running around doesn't really fit the vibe we're going for." My daughter was 6, my son was 4. They adored their cousin Emily. They're not a bunch of little kids. They're her cousins. They're family. And you and David are family, which is why you're invited. Look, I'm not trying to be mean. This is just what Emily wants, and it's her special day. I took a breath, trying to stay calm. "Have you told them yet?" "Told who?" "My kids." "Have you told them they're not invited to their cousin's party?" "I figured you would handle that. You're their mom." I closed my eyes. "I'm not doing this, Sarah. If you don't want my children at the party, then David and I won't be there either." "Oh, come on. Don't be dramatic. Mom and Dad will be so disappointed if you don't show up." "Then maybe you should have thought about that before excluding 2 children from a family event." "It's not a family event. It's Emily's birthday party." "There's a difference. Not to a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old, there's it," she sighed. The particular side that meant she thought I was being unreasonable. "Fine, do whatever you want, but don't blame me when Mom asks why you're being difficult." She hung up. I told David that night after the kids were in bed. He listened quietly, his jaw getting tighter with each detail. "So we're not going," he said when I finished. "We're not going. Good." 2 days later, my mother called. "Sarah told me you're not coming to Emily's party. What's this about?" I explained. My mother made sympathetic noises, but ultimately sided with my sister. "It's Sarah's choice how to handle her daughter's party. You can't force her to invite everyone." "I'm not forcing anything. I'm choosing not to attend an event where my children are deliberately excluded." "You're making this into a bigger issue than it needs to be. Just come to the party. The kids won't even notice. They'll notice when every other grandchild is there except them. You're being stubborn. I'm being a parent." The next 3 weeks were tense. My sister sent a group text to the family chat with party details. I didn't respond. My brother asked if there was drama. I gave him the short version. He said he understood, but was still bringing his kids because he didn't want to make waves. The day of the party arrived. It was a Saturday afternoon, sunny and perfect for an outdoor event. David and I took our kids to the aquarium instead, making it a special outing with lunch at their favorite restaurant beforehand. We didn't tell them about the party happening across town. Why hurt them unnecessarily? Why explain that while they were looking at sea turtles, their cousin was celebrating with all the other grandchildren, but someone told them we were? standing in front of the jellyfish exhibit, watching the translucent creatures drift through their illuminated tank, when my daughter tugged my sleeve with her small hand. "Mommy, is Emily's birthday party today?" My heart sank like a stone. I felt David tense beside me, his hand tightening on our son's shoulder. "How did you know about that, sweetie?" "Grandma mentioned it yesterday when she called. She asked if I was excited about the party and what I was. Going to where? Of course she did. Of course, my mother had assumed we'd worked it out or hadn't cared that we hadn't. Sweetie, it's today. Are we going after the aquarium?" I knelt down to her level. "No, honey, we're not going to that party." "Why not? How do you explain this to a 6-year-old? How do you tell your child that their aunt didn't think they were important enough to include?" "Sometimes parties are just for certain people," I said carefully. "This one is just for Emily's school friends, but I'm her cousin. We're family." "I know." "Baby," her eyes filled with tears. "Doesn't Aunt Sarah like us?" My son, picking up on his sister's distress, started crying too. David picked him up, his expression dark. "Let's go home," he said quietly. The drive home was silent except for the occasional sniffle from the back seat. When we got home, I settled the kids with a movie and their favorite snacks. David disappeared into his office. An hour later, his phone rang, then mine, then his again. I walked to the office. David was at his desk looking at his phone with an expression I'd seen before. The one that meant someone had made a very serious mistake in their business dealings. "With him, what's going on?" He held up his phone. 15 missed calls, 3 from my sister, 4 from my mother, the rest from my brother and various family members. "I made a call," he said simply. "What kind of call?" "The kind that clarifies certain business relationships." I sat down slowly. "David, what did you do?" He turned his laptop toward me. On the screen was an email chain. I recognized the header. "Morrison Property Development, my brother-in-law's company. Your sister's husband has been trying to secure a contract with Centennial Group for 6 months. Big commercial development project. It would basically set their company up for the next 5 years. I knew this. My sister had mentioned it multiple times. How this deal would change everything for them. How they'd finally be able to afford the house they wanted in the private school for Emily. What does that have to do with anything? David looked at me steadily. "I'm the majority shareholder of Centennial Group. I have been for 3 years. My mouth fell open. "What?" "It's under a different corporate structure. Most people don't make the connection between David Chin and the Centennial portfolio companies. I prefer it that way. You never told me. You never asked about my investment holdings. And frankly, it's boring conversation. But the point is, your brother-in-law has been negotiating with my acquisitions team for months. They were going to present the final contract to me next week for approval. I called the team an hour ago, told them to kill the deal." I stared at him. "You killed a multi-million-dollar contract because Sarah didn't invite our kids to a birthday party." "No, I killed a multi-million-dollar contract because Sarah told our children they weren't important enough. There's a difference." My phone buzzed, a text from my sister. "Why is David torpedoing Mark's deal? What the hell's going on?" Then my mother. "Your husband is destroying your sister's family financially over a party invitation. Call me now." Then my brother. "Dude, this is insane. Call off your husband." David's phone kept buzzing. He declined every call. "They don't know it's you," I said slowly. "They don't know you control Centennial. They do now." I told my team to inform Mark's company exactly why the deal was being terminated. That the chairman personally declined to move forward with a partner who demonstrates poor values regarding family. "David, they made our children cry. They told them they weren't important, that they weren't worthy of being included." His voice was calm, but he could hear the steel underneath. I won't do business with people who treat my family that way. Neither will any company I control. My phone rang. Sir, I answered. What the hell is your husband doing? She screamed. Mark. Just got a call from Centennial Group saying the deal is dead because of family values concerns and that the decision came directly from the chairman. Do you know what this means for us? I know exactly what it means. This is insane. Over a birthday party, you're going to destroy our financial stability because Emily didn't want a bunch of toddlers at her party. They're not toddlers, they're your niece and nephew. They're 6 and 4 years old, and they cried today because they couldn't understand why their aunt doesn't think they're important enough. This is not proportional. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue. And you're talking about 2 children who were deliberately excluded from a family event. Tell me which one matters more. I cannot believe you're being this petty and not being petty. My husband is making a business decision. He doesn't want to partner with people who demonstrate cruelty to children. It's actually a pretty reasonable position. You planned this. You knew he could do this. And you used it as leverage. I had no idea David controlled Centennial until an hour ago. Apparently, he likes to keep his business investments quiet, but yes, he did this deliberately. And honestly, I'm not sorry. Mom is furious. Dad is furious. Everyone thinks you've lost your mind. Everyone was fine with you telling 2 children. They weren't important enough, so forgive me if I don't particularly care what everyone thinks. You're going to regret this. The only thing I regret is not standing up for my kids sooner. She hung up. Over the next 2 days, the family group chat exploded. My parents demanded we fix this. My brother tried to mediate. Various aunts and uncles weighed in with their opinions on proportional responses and family unity. David ignored all of it. He was in back-to-back meetings restructuring some portfolio companies. When he had free time, he played with the kids. On Monday evening, Sarah showed up at our door. No Mark, no Emily, just her looking exhausted. Can we talk? I let her in. We sat in the living room. She looked around like she was seeing it for the first time. The family photos on the wall, the kids' artwork on the fridge, the toy bin in the corner. I didn't realize David was that successful, she said finally. Does it matter? It matters that I underestimated the consequences. That's not an apology. She was quiet for a long moment. I was wrong, not because of the money. I was wrong before that. She looked up, eyes red. I told Mark that Emily didn't want little kids at her party, but that wasn't true. Emily never said that. I said it. Why? Because I was jealous. Your kids are adorable. Everyone always comments on how sweet they are, how well behaved, and Emily's being going through a difficult phase. Tantrums, attitude problems. I felt like everyone was always comparing them, and mine was coming up short. So you excluded them? I thought it would be easier. One event where Emily could shine without comparison, but I didn't think about what it would do to them. I didn't think about how they'd feel. She wiped her eyes. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry. Not because your husband has financial power, because I hurt 2 children who didn't deserve it. I didn't respond immediately. This was more honesty than Sarah had offered in years. You need to apologize to them, not to me. To them, I know. I will if you'll let me. That's up to them. She nodded. And the business deal? That's up to David. But I'll tell you right now. He doesn't change his mind easily once someone crosses a line with our family. I understand. She left quietly. David didn't reinstate the deal. He explained to me later that it wasn't about punishment. It was about principle. I didn't build relationships with people who demonstrated that kind of judgment. There were other contractors, other development companies. Sarah did apologize to the kids. She brought Emily over and they did it together. Emily gave them handmade cards, inviting them to a special Dover party. Just cousins. My kids forgave her immediately, the way children do. The relationship between Sarah and me is still healing. It's been 4 months. We're cordial now, friendly at family gatherings, but there's a distance that wasn't there before. Mark's company survived. They found other projects, smaller ones. They're fine, if not thriving the way they'd hoped. My parents eventually came around. Dad said he understood David's position, even if he wished it had been handled differently. Mom still thinks the whole thing was an overreaction, but she stopped saying so at family dinners. The kids don't remember most of it. They had their cousin party. They got cake and presents and time with Emily. That's what mattered to them. But I remember. I remember the tears in the car, the confusion on their faces when they couldn't understand why they were excluded. And I'm grateful I married a man who, when faced with that choice, chose our children's dignity over business relationships every single time. Some people think David overreacted, that destroying a business deal over a party invitation was extreme. But those people didn't see our daughter's face when she asked if her aunt didn't like her anymore. They didn't hear our son crying in the back seat. And they don't understand that sometimes the most important thing you can teach your children is that they matter, that their feelings are valid, that when someone treats them as less than, there are consequences. David taught them that lesson. And honestly, it's the most valuable thing he's ever done for